I'm Heather Murray Elkins, and welcome to the Office of Object Relations, where we talk about holy human stuff. And I wanted to start this morning with just a reflection on the word stuff. It's a deeper, richer word than we may, in fact, realize. You can have stuff that means material to work with or upon, a substance to be wrought. It is a state of composition. Stuff. It could also mean what a person is made of, one's capacities, or inward character. So the story and the thing, the holy stuff that I would like to share with you today has to do with both those meanings. I'll introduce you to the storyteller. And this is a tradition that is in fact one that stretches back to the Anasazi 400 BC clay figurines can be discovered. A long history of making clay figures that express character, what one is made of, the stuff of one's life. And the Pueblos in particular. This comes from the Acoma Pueblo, and it is called the storyteller. And these are now really easy to find, but in the early 70s and 80s, they were rare, and to discover them was to, in fact, discover something that gave insight to what it is that will enable you or a people to survive and to transmit, to hand on those sacred things that make us who we are. So this storyteller came into my life when I had gone out to a clergywomen's consultation in 1983. We gathered every 4 years just to see that we were alive. It was still well with our souls. Because in ministry, we would often struggle on a day-to-day basis with honoring a call in the face of a community that would not honor the call. So that sense of what is within you, what stuff have you got, and what might come to you as an image that gives you the power to go on is at the heart of this story. I went to the conference. It was a powerful vision calling for who we would be as women called by Christ. But on the way back from the conference, trying to find the airport, I got horribly lost. I ended up in the middle of a reservation, went to a trading post, and went in to ask for directions. And when I went in, I found, in fact, the direction I had been seeking, because she was on a shelf, and she was singing, and she was engendering the story of who she was and who her people were. And I can remember sitting down, literally, in front of this. I asked the man who was in charge of the trading post the cost. And when I learned the cost, it would have been a full month's salary. So all I could do was to sit lost in the middle of a reservation, in the middle of a trading post, looking at the image that I needed for the work I knew I had been called to. She's holding a seed jar that holds the precious seed for the future. But on the seed jar is painted images of other living beings. So the song one sings is not just for the human community. You sing, you tell the stories so that the whole world will thrive and survive. I don't know how long I sat cross-legged on the floor of a trading post looking at what I knew ministry was to be for me and for many others. I finally got directions, got back in the car, came back to where I was serving, a church in West Virginia, and I was greeted at the door by a really piece of good news. My husband, Bill, said, "Guess who called?" I said, "I have no idea. It could have been anyone, a great community in need." He said, "Your alma mater, Duke, called." I said, "They called?" One is always surprised when your alma mater remembers you. And he said, "Yes, they want you to come and give a lecture about images of women in ministry. Whereupon I began laughing because I had just found mine and then left her. And he said, and you'll never believe what they're going to pay you. I said, I know exactly what they're going to pay me. $450. Because, of course, that was exactly what she cost. So then I had a dilemma. Could I tell the story without the stuff? Decided it was a very risky business. So my job was then to try to figure out where I'd gotten lost, look at the map, try to find the trading post, see if they had a phone number, and then talking to the owner, would he be willing in exchange for a promised check to mail this storyteller to me. There were 3 others, but this one I knew was mine. He agreed, bless whoever his heart was, and he put it in the mail. I put the check in the mail. I would now have an image of women in ministry, telling the story, singing the song, being able to generate, conceiving by the power. Doesn't this remind you of someone? Maybe it's old Elizabeth, or maybe it's young Mary in this season, having the power to sing with the angels so that life will be preserved. Well, it took a week and the package arrived. But when I picked it up, there was a terrible sound. It rattled. This beautiful image from Acoma Pueblo, signed by the artist, was broken. You can still see some of the broken pieces. And so I began the work that is also important for ministry, to repair the image that showed you and me and the Holy Spirit what stuff I was made of. And Bill said, you're not going to pay $450 for broken pottery, are you? I said, yes, because this one was mine. This one belongs to me. He said, how do you know that? It's just broken. Send it back. Get another. I said, oh, I can't. You can't trade your self-identity for another. And the reason I know this one is mine, if you look very carefully, right here, across her knee, is one very young child who is bored and is yawning, is not interested in the story. And that is what my experience has been as well. This one was mine. So she is repaired. She is precious. She enables me to believe that the word becomes embodied in the song and sung, and when the word is sung, life is engendered. And I wondered about where this came from, where this figure emerged. The first one was made in 1964 by a wonderful potter who was encouraged by her family to do these instead of pots. And her name was Helen Cordero. And she gave us this gift to sing so that life will be in this world. This is what you would call holy human stuff.